So we're gonna first review Five Nights at Freddy's, which I tweeted like, sorry I wasn't familiar with your game. I knew that there was a lot of cult following and fans. I did not expect for a simultaneous streaming release for them to get like 140 million.
You went to this movie.
I told you
theater.
this.
You're
it was gonna make money,
George.
I knew it would make money, but the fact that it was released on the same day on streaming,
that was the most whack news. I saw it literally like I got home, I sat down, I wrote my Letterboxd review. Open Twitter, first thing I see, Five Nights at Freddy's releases in 1 hour on Peacock. I was like, shut the fuck. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just wild that they released it so quickly on Peacock. But I mean, with how much money they lost, like I guess maybe they're just trying to boost up their subscription numbers. So who knows? But Five Nights at Freddy's, obviously inspired by the video games that have had them. I don't even know if you can call them a cult following. Like they do have a cult following, but they're just genuinely like very popular games. So it's like cult following is like too much downplaying it. But recently fired and desperate for work, a troubled young man named Mike agrees to take a position as a night security guard at an abandoned theme restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. But he soon discovers that nothing at Freddy's is what it seems. Starring Josh Hutcherson, starring Matthew Lillard. Those are the only two I think from the cast that like I actually like know from other things.
They got Beck from You.
Beck from You, yeah.
I don't know her name. I wish I did, but she's Beck. That's what I know her from.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go into this. First, I'll start with George just simply because like he's like I thought George would have to miss this week's podcast because he's gonna be like in jail based on like how violently he was like attacking people for how bad this movie was and how much he was just like.
I think every person that tweeted it's not that bad. He's like worst movie of the year.
That's so bad.
Tweeted it now. He's just tweeted it now.
I literally just tweeted it actually, like literally like 5 minutes ago.
Sorry to give me PTSD and bring back up this traumatic experience.
Yeah,
for me, but
that's on me.
Let's hear it.
For my aggressive reaction to this movie. But yeah, no, everything. It wasn't just the reason I'm so upset is it wasn't like just the movie. It wasn't just the movie. It was the whole experience. Like my theater, I've never been in a crowd with such disrespectful people. Even during No Way
things about the
even here's my thing, like No Way Home was without a doubt the loudest theater experience of my life, but between the cheer moments everyone was silent. Everyone at least respected the movie. People in this film, I'm going to call it a movie, it doesn't deserve to be called a film. People in this movie don't even they were talking the entire time. The kids, adults, the age range was crazy in this theater.
Yeah,
the age range, like I was sitting literally to the left of me, there was some fucking 9-year-old twerp munching on nachos the entire time. And then like 2 seats over, there was like a very old couple. So the age range was all over the place. But like the entire movie, all I kept hearing was, do you think this will show up? Do you think that will show up? Oh, that was an interesting change to the game. Dude, I was like, shut. And it wasn't like 1 or 2 people. It was every single person in the audience. I went to this movie with my dad. We were the only two not talking the entire time.
What did your dad think? He texted me before.
Hated it. Once the credits started
rolling. Did you tell him it was on Peacock?
I did not know.
You're gonna tell him now? You should tell him now.
No. Once the credits started rolling, I looked at it. I go, "That was shit," and he just laughed. But yeah, the movie itself was also just terrible. And I never played the game, so obviously take my review with a grain of salt. I never played the game. Seth, I know you gave it a 2.5, and you credit like a 2. Sorry, and you credit like that high of a rating because you played the game. So
high of a rating.
Yeah, literally. So just take like my review with a grain of salt. It just felt like the most like generic and bland adaptation that they could have possibly brought to the screen. It felt, no disrespect to Seth at all, but it felt like Seth could have written this movie. That is how trash it was. It felt like a casual.
That's a stray of the century.
I'm so sorry.
What the fuck did I do?
What I'm saying is, it felt like any casual player of the game could have written could have written this movie. Okay, and that's not saying I'm sure you're a great writer. I'm just saying
better than that movie. Like, chill. What the fuck do you mean?
Are you sure? Because George doesn't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my fault. That was a crazy. It was, and I know I'm kind of beating like a dead horse here because I know this is like the consensus criticism, but like it really does ring true. It was just tonally all over the place. There were moments where the movie like really took itself seriously as a horror movie, and then there were moments that were just like so stupid and so corny. And I don't know if the game was like that. Again, I never played the game, but like when it comes to movies, that just made for such like a nauseating experience. Like this movie just had such an identity crisis. It was absurd. And then my biggest problem, like I never expected this movie to be good. Like I was never like on the side of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't like video game adaptations. I just never think they've been like good. I, at the very least, thought this movie was going to be fun or scary. And it was neither of those two. It was neither fun nor scary, which like just bothered me like endlessly.
Yeah. Just real quick to bounce off that on the fun aspect. This is a wild movie to make light of. There are corpses. Are we getting into spoilers at all?
Yeah, yeah.
It's Five Nights.
I don't care.
These are children corpses in these bears. They make note of that the bodies are in the bears for 40 plus years. They have stolen and kidnapped 5 or 6 children. And it makes very big light on this is one of the most wanted men in America. There are like 5 children that are taken and murdered. How this is not a PG-13 subject to just make light of. Like that's insane.
One thing I did not realize until they like mentioned it in the movie, I didn't realize the bodies of the children were inside.
It's not. She says it's not just the ghosts.
She said it's the bodies.
That's what I was like. This is fucked up.
I thought it was just like their soul or something.
This is a Criminal Minds episode that we've just made. Like this is fucked up. This dude stole like 5 or 6 kids and put them into animatronic bodies and left the corpses there for 40 years. They would be rotting. That place has to smell crazy.
It wouldn't be bodies anymore.
It's got to smell crazy.
The body like would have liquefied and fallen on the floor. Like it would be just bones in this chest. And I'm talking to Emma about this during the movie, and I'm like, I feel like this is just like skipping over the fact that these are children's bodies that we have just like left in here. So yeah, George, you're right. It's not fun because that's fucked up and stupid, and just like they went too light with it to make it like not a serious thing. It would be a serious thing. You wouldn't just have this fucking building anymore. Like
fucking crazy.
Oh my god, man.
My review is done. Worst movie of the year. This shit sucked.
Seth, as someone who's played the games and definitely have the most understanding of the lore of this podcast, give us your thoughts and try and give us some background on like what might have been transferred from the games, what was left out that you were surprised of, or just how was the adaptation overall? Because like we said, we haven't played the game, so we can't really talk to like how well it was adapted.
Yeah. Well, I was a casual player. Like I don't remember it that well. I just remember like the premise and how to play and stuff like that. But man, I wasn't expecting like too much. I wasn't expecting something that was like thematically compelling or anything like that. But I think they played it so safe, because not only did it come across as a generic horror film that was stuck in what it wanted to be between something that was brutal and something that was tame and made for children. And again, like Cam said, with the subject matter, either commit to it or don't. And it didn't at all. Like, I wasn't expecting like an onslaught of brutality, because at the end of the day, it is a game that kids played, I guess. Although I will say the game, like, genuinely scary at points. That's not even a joke. Genuinely scary.
Okay, I was gonna ask that, like, how, because like this does, like, I can see it being just like a very corny and campy game. I was gonna ask, like, how scary does it like actually get?
Bro, so in the game, like, this is the issue I had with it as well. Like, I saw this on Twitter. So a lot of people were complaining, and a lot of people weren't complaining, that there's no. So the game premise is that you're basically sat in the office and you're kind of watching the cameras. and you have to keep the electricity up to use the lights carefully. And then if the electricity goes off in one of the rooms, they get closer to you, kind of thing. And then if you keep doing it, they keep losing light, they end up like right in front of you, kind of thing. And there was nothing in the film that showcased what the game did,
like them getting closer or anything.
Yeah, like them getting closer. The lights going out. There was like one scene of that. I would have liked, obviously not a whole film because you can't direct a whole film from gameplay. It doesn't work like that. But something of the same light, because in the game they did it to a point where it was genuinely shocking. But I will say, I actually think that like this would have always been hard to transition into a live action format and make it scary because of how, let's be honest, like childish the costumes look. I thought the animatronics looked really good, and I like the way they did them all practically, but they don't look scary, and it was going to be very fucking hard to make them look scary like the games, and especially with the noises and stuff like that as well.
Sorry, so what is like when you play the game, what is the object? Like, do you
got to
fight
survive
these things?
you've got to survive the night.
You're Mike, right?
Yeah, you're the security guard. But like, so what happened? Like, because from my understanding, the animatronics are not trying to kill the security guard, right?
In the movie, they're not, but in their game, they are, right?
Oh, in the game, they are.
From what so basically, you have to. The whole point of the game is, again, someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, because it's been a fucking years, but it's 5 Nights at Freddy's. You have to survive the night. So you're in the. This is fucking annoying.
I was gonna say.
So you're in the office. Like where he's looking at the cameras and stuff. Yeah. You're watching the cameras. You've got like an electricity meter which shows how much you're using, and if you use too much, the lights will go off, and if the lights go off, you'll look at the cameras. They're chasing you. They end up in front of you. So your whole objective is to be careful with electricity and survive the night and make sure you're watching each cameras, because if you watch them, they can't move. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so what happens if you run up on one of these things? You got to fight it?
No, you can't. That's not the game. Like you're just on you're there. You're at the office. You just have to survive.
It's like a strategy. From my understanding, I did a deep dive into it. It's like a strategy game, not like
it's not like a Last of Us. You know what I mean? Where you're like this narratively driven game. You're just at the office trying to survive using strategies. But it was genuinely scary because the jump scares really worked. But I think in a game, in a film like this, it's going to be really hard to transition that with the animatronics because they just don't look scary. They're not scary. I think the tie-ins were foreseeable, predictable, obvious, boring, and badly executed. I think they underutilized many of the characters as well, like Matthew Lillard's character. I just didn't care.
Yeah,
it really was.
Also, he was he so obvious for anyone else?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess if you played the game,
I had no idea.
I didn't play the game, but like, I'm like, that's.
I think anyone could like. I don't know, man. I think like it was so underutilized, and I also think I just didn't care about Josh Hutcherson or the whole,
because he's a shit person. Story. I texted you guys this. He's not only the down on his luck guy, he's a bad person. He beats the shit out of some dude and for not saying like he had no reason to maybe assume that this child was getting taken, but that's the whole issue with like the problem people have with security guards and just police in general. I'm not getting into that by any means, but you can tackle him, whatever. You can't beat the fuck out of him in front of anyone. And then like, you need restraint. He's just a bad dream
and sleep when he's supposed to be like watching.
He
sleeps the entire episode or whatever.
I was like, his aunt like has a point to like take that kid away from him.
Yeah,
like kind of on her side. Like he's not fit to be. And then at the end, they're like, "Look how happy she is with you." I'm like, "Dude's a bad guardian."
Yeah,
I don't care how happy this kid is. He's not a good guardian.
No,
I think it like it was so tame with the kills. It was so tame, and I know what they're doing. It was I don't know the American like rating system. Was it a PG-13? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
What's it?
So I'm assuming you have to be 13. Yeah.
I
know it's going to be hard to play with, and I know why they did it. But I think like an R-rated cut of this, similar to like a Megan, for example, would have made things so much more compelling from that side.
It's the same shit as Megan. I'm with you there. Yeah. Just like it's not impossible to make an art or a horror movie be PG-13, but you have to use jump scares better, or you have to use looming presence of these creatures better. And if you're not going to use gore, like it's just you got to do other things better. And I don't think this.
I agree. And I think this as well. I don't know if you guys agree, but I just can't see a world where this could have been scary as a film. I don't know. I just can't see it. I think I can't take the.
Oh man, there's a bear with a hook for a hand, like at one.
Yeah, but that's not. But the presence of it, like the look of it, just isn't scary.
I never felt suspense.
If they're going to rely on one thing, at least provide some brutality with it. The subject matter is dark. Provides some. Although I will say, the like weird baby thing that they try and put her into, that's kind of creepy. That one was creepy. Maybe make that like an animatronic rather than these bears. And I get it. They can't. They can't because it's a trilogy deal they signed and they're following the game's structure. So
this is getting a trilogy. Like there's no stopping it. I mean, I know it made a shitload of money. So
and there's 3 games. You said there's 3 different.
There's 9 games.
No, there's more. I think I played the first 4, but there's a lot of like Final Fantasy. We didn't see like, a tenth of probably sort of like a 10th and 8th of the animatronics available. There's so much more, which is why they didn't use them.
I was looking it up, and do you think they bring back Josh Hutcherson? Because like he's not in the other games, is he? I was looking it up, and like they use
Mike Schmidt. Is he in other games, right?
I have no idea what I'm assuming no, because they kind of have to follow a pattern, I guess.
But then how do you get these characters to? How do you get me to give a shit about a character if we have a new main protagonist every episode or every
you don't make
movie?
More films and you play the game?
Yeah, that's fair. It just, I don't know. I feel like as a video game adaptation, maybe this worked well for fans of the game, but I feel like everything about it that like relates to a movie sucks.
This is the thing. I'm not good. Again, I was a casual player. I wasn't someone who was like really into it. Like many people on Twitter getting very, very defensive about it. Like I had a guy literally message me telling me to like kill myself or something, like because of my finest phrase, which is fucking crazy when you think about it.
Insane.
And like I had comments on my review like, "Why'd you got to ruin the fun for everyone else?" Like, do you know what Letterboxd is? Yeah. And I'm just giving my opinion, but I will say
it wasn't fun. Yeah, it's just not fun.
I just like I don't, and again, casual fan. I don't see why the gaming fans would love this. Like, there's some Easter eggs, cool, but it doesn't even provide the experience of the game.
The biases is we're just running crazy.
And if you liked it, cool, I get it, because there was some moments I liked, and if you were a big fan, that you're going to have spotted more than I have, and you're going to know more than I have, 100%. Yeah. But I don't see this as I
have a lot more points. I'll be back there. Give me 1 second.
I don't see this as a film for the fans. I see this as a film that's gonna, they knew would make a fucking load of money because of the fan base it has. But again, I could be wrong. But 2-star from me anyway.
Too high.
It's been a long time since I've like wanted to like a movie so much, because I genuinely like love the animatronics. I like the set design. Like it was fun when they were in cool. Freddy's Pizzeria. So I really wanted to like it. And I was hoping like, oh, everyone's low on it. Maybe I'll at least get something out of it to like enjoy it a bit. And I didn't completely hate it. Like I'm definitely not as low as George, but I think it's surprising to have like this massive of a horror like franchise is going to become, and the games are so popular. And they had Emma Tammy direct it, who's directed 5 other movies that total have 20,000 logs of all her movies before ever on Letterboxd of 20,000 total logs. Like to give her the keys to this massive movie that is going to be making $500 million plus be a massive streaming success. Like it seems odd that they choose her. Yeah. And like you're saying, like it's not brutal like Megan and it should have been. It's like just my problem I have with Blumhouse. Like I've just become a Blumhouse hater because I feel like recently the last couple of years they've just become a meme studio when they used to be so. They used to make like Get Out. They used to make all like the best like horror thrillers, but like it started like last year they had like They Them, and then
Halloween
they have Megan, Halloween. Like I feel like they're just becoming like purely they're going for is IP and memes just to make money, but they aren't making consistent good films. They're making consistent bad films, much less. Like this year's just been like a horrible year in terms of like actual good movies.
Because they're making. I think Exorcist might have done really badly. Did Exorcist do bad?
I think that's the only one that didn't make money, but like Insidious Red Door did very well. Megan obviously did insanely well in Five Nights at Freddy's.
The marketing is insane, but the films are shit.
I have a question about that because they're all making great money. I get superhero fatigue. I understand. When are we getting shit horror movie fatigue? I'm fatigued by it.
Shit. Horror films have always been shit.
I know. That's what people love.
No, but horror films have always been shit. There used to be like more good ones, so it was like you balance it out. But like horror films have always been the shittest genre, in my opinion. There's so many shit.
It's fair. I need as a superhero fan, I need someone to start some shit horror movie fatigue because
I have Blumhouse fatigue at least. I feel like every time they crap out,
because with horrors,
they have great ones.
With horrors, you don't have to watch them. So if you're like an MCU or a DC fan, you're gonna want to watch all the projects, and you get tired of it. With a horror, everything's different. Do you know what I mean? So you don't have to watch the releases.
Yeah,
that's why it'll never come up because they know if they produce.
You're right.
With IP, they'll just make like so much money. It's crazy.
I also want to note, George, I asked this after first watch and then figured it out. They are there 5 nights. He's there 5 nights.
That was Josh one thing I didn't even like think to like.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
I didn't even think to like keep track of that.
Yeah, he was at Freddy's for 5 nights.
Okay.
As the title suggests.
This movie is the perfect I should have taken notes while watching movie. This movie is the perfect for that because it's just shit and a whole lot of things are stupid about it. The first thing that Emma said after watching was like, wow, that was really bad. And she loves a shit movie, everyone. She loves an hour 45 movie that you just don't have to pay attention to.
Her favorite horror film, I remember. What was it called again? Case 39, was it?
I forget. Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember now. But like, she loves that kind of shit, and she loved the Meg too. Like, just absolutely adored it. Hated this because it's bad and it's not scary. And Josh Hutcherson, not a great actor, lost it in my opinion.
Yeah, he looked like a pretty handsome dude.
Never had it.
I don't think. I mean, like he's not horrible in the Hunger Games.
He did
Bridge
his
to
job.
Terabithia.
Yeah, in like his teen.
He was actually not good in Bridge to Terabithia though. Like
I can't say I watched
that
Bridge to Terabithia after it ruined my life as a kid. Like that movie fucked me up, man. Sure. I think everyone had the same experience with it.
Everyone had the same.
Yeah, I also think Matthew Lillard's like not a good actor either.
No,
bro,
Shaggy, man.
I love Matthew Lillard purely because I really like the Scooby-Doo films, but he is like
also for Matthew Lillard. Every single Letterboxd review I saw basically said Matthew Lillard carried.
It's because he's so likable and people have these memories with him. Like,
dude, he had Shaggy. 6 minutes of screen time.
I agree with you, but it's just because he's that like likable figure that everyone just loves. I mean, I loved him, but he's not great. Like, he's just not.
He just like he was good. He was fine for the movie, but like he just wasn't in the movie, and I was stunned because everyone literally kept. I mean, I guess that's just how bad the movie is when someone who has less than like 5 minutes of screen time is the best part.
Yeah, like he's at the start and then he's nowhere to be found, and then he comes in at the end as the big yellow bear or whatever.
Have you seen like on Twitter? People love Matthew Lillard.
I know people do. People want him back in Scream so bad. Like that was the big theory for Scream, right? I never saw
he was back. The masked killer in this,
right? I think that's more because like how crazy of a twist that would be, rather than like how much. I mean, they also love Matthew Lillard. I think for Scream, I think it's like a lot about like how crazy that twist would be if you saw it.
One thing about this movie that like kind of made me feel like a little stupid when the big yellow rabbit came out. He was like talking normally, and I was like, damn. This motherfucker evolved like crazy. I really had no idea that there was like an actual.
He wasn't
dude.
in the movie for 12 hours.
Yeah, I like really had zero clue that there was an actual dude in that movie. In that, I didn't even suspect that because of how little screen time he had. And then like he took off his mask, and I was like, oh, I'm so dumb.
Did you not get like with the conversation he was having on the phone at the start? Like he looked.
No, I just thought he was a weird dude who like knew about Freddy's, but like
who else would it have been though? Do you know when you think about it?
Like,
also like
I think it would have been funnier if it was the ant. That would have been fucking hilarious.
That would have been pretty funny. He took Josh Hutcherson's kid or brother from fucking nowhere. Like the other 4 were related to Freddy's. The kid in the woods was nothing. He's just stealing kids at that point. Like this guy's fucked. And they didn't do anything. They didn't say anything about how fucked up this is, that he's stealing and killing kids and putting them in animatronics.
What did you guys think of
why
these dream
scenes? That kid?
But then it was also so hard to like be on Vanessa's side at the end of the movie. When,
what was she? I get it.
I'm like cool. Like you tried to take down your dad this time. What were you doing the last 20 years?
5 other kids.
There were 5 other. You're staring at them every single day.
Yeah,
I'm
hanging out with them. She like knew. What did you? Right?
What did you guys think of the dream sequences? I really just hated those sequences.
Dude, I was like I get it. It's gonna traumatize him for life, but every time you go back, I was like, get over it already. God, like you're not gonna find anything new. You've been doing this for years.
You know what has better dreams? Midnight Mass has dreams, not dream sequences, but has like a looming like. Someone does something in the past. I won't spoil it, Seth, if you're going to watch it. And it haunts him forever. That has 15 times better.
Dude, I think a lot of things have better.
Probably. Like, also, all-time horror trope. And this one, it makes sense because it's all through cameras. All-time horror trope is when someone's watching a camera and the villain's like sitting there and then they look at the camera. All time. Incredible. Never misses. I'll say that.
But yeah, like to Seth's point, every time he like got back in those woods and like woke up and like was in there and just trying to relive those dreams, I just like rolled my eyes every time. Like, again, man, like it's just getting so old at this point. But the thing is, like kind of Seth was mentioning in his review, like it wasn't brutal enough to be like a scary movie. So like when you're not going to be brutal enough, you have to be suspenseful. But I was never scared. I was never even close on the edge of my seat or feeling any suspense. So I was like, what are they doing here? Like, there's nothing remotely scary about this. And I'm not, obviously, you guys know I'm the furthest thing from being like a tough horror guy where I'm like, oh, I'm too good. Like, there's just nothing here, like at all that was like scary whatsoever. And like, even the couple like cheap jump scares they had, well, one of them was like in the trailer that I saw over and over. It's like the hand coming out of the mouth. I was like, okay, I know that's going to happen. And then all the other jump scares were like, you know, like most bad jump scares are obvious where they like zoom in on something and the music will go quiet. You're like, oh, it's obviously gonna be a jump scare here. But this one was like 10 times longer than that. Like every time a jump scare would come, it's like, oh, it's for like 25 seconds straight. Just slowly zoom in on this one corner with no music. And something pops out. I'm like, oh, it's freaking shocker. But it's just like Matthew Lillard was so obviously sketchy from the beginning. The security guard was obviously, or the police officer was so obviously sketchy from the beginning. Like you knew from the beginning, you're like, you'd obviously know some shit. And you're just like acting like you're just a normal cop. Like there's just nothing here for me. And ultimately the movie ended. I was like, that was just super lame. And I was just wishing it would be better. I found this movie, like, I don't know, like half the time I just found it to be just like confusing, but not because they like made a good plot, just because I don't know. I feel like this movie either needed to be longer, needed to focus on different things,
or just needed to not exist.
Or just needed to like just leave the game.
Scarier, maybe.
But like the thing is, I like this. I like the set design and the idea and the world enough to where like I'm excited to see like this. Not excited to see sequels, but I'll watch them and I'm like kind of like intrigued by it.
I just don't know if it could translate. And also, what is it with Blumhouse writing the like cringiest fucking villainous characters? You know, like in Halloween Ends, we had the bullies who were just like weirdos. In this, we had the robbers who were just like this old man screaming and stuff like that. And the guy, you know, they're in the cafe or like like a diner, and they're like across from each other. And the guy in his like friend or whatever who was like the babysitter. It's so cringe, those scenes. Man.
This is worse than Halloween Ends.
It's not.
Yeah,
you know the line, Cameron. Wait, the film or the line?
The Halloween Ends is killed a kid and too pussy to buy us some beers, and this is worse than that.
That is
that line trumps the whole film. That line is.
I have that at a 24 out of 100, and this at a 16. So it's like they're both 1 stars, but this is worse than Halloween Ends.
They're both so bad.
That's fair.
I mean, at least Halloween Ends has Michael Myers.
At least Halloween Ends.
And Halloween Ends has the the banger. At the very least, it has that.
Halloween Ends also has that first death of that kid that like actually is crazy.
At least Halloween Ends actually like tried something new. They actually like I hated it. But they tried to step out the zone a little bit. With this, they're just so.
I want to say the song that the animatronics were singing kind of banged. I don't know what it was, and I don't know if it's from the game, but it kind of banged. I looked up a bunch of lore after this movie, and it didn't make it any better, in my opinion. Like I learned a lot about the FNAF.
I just don't think it transitions into a live action film. Like I don't think any of the films will be good. I just don't.
I'm with you.
Anyone else got anything else to say on FNAF?
No.
But the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is really high.
Oh, yeah.
That must be really good.
Yeah, it's one of
that's like purposely why I did. So when I tweeted like saying like how like much Blumhouse sucks in 2023, like yesterday, I was gonna do Rotten Tomatoes at first, and I went over to Letterboxd instead because Megan has like a 96 from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, what the hell?
That's insane.
Like, I just walked out of that movie so bored. Like,
I am the most like pro if it's fun. Enjoy it, great.
You're a Marvel fan. You have to.
I hate that this wasn't fun. I don't get it, man. It just sucked. That sucked.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's kind of continue on with our horror. Well, I guess what's our review? So I gave it a 1.5 star. Seth 2 star. George half star.
I think both ones.
One. I gave it a 1 for the
animatronics.
Yeah. Shout out the animatronics because they were
They do
cool.
look good.
And
I like how they did them practical.
Use more practical effects.
Yeah.
I'm glad it made money for that purpose. I'm glad they weren't CGI.
Well,
that gives you enough to get you a 1 star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
fair
for
enough,
you.
Fair enough.
Now make a good movie with them.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
But yeah, with how much money it's made, I'd imagine obviously like the sequel. I bet we'll see it like next year, honestly, at this rate. Like with how much money it made, like Blumhouse is just gonna full steam ahead.
You can dump that shit out like crazy, man.